Thank you. All right, this is a meeting of the Policy Committee, and I wish to call the meeting to order at this point and to take attendance. We have Councilwoman Gordon. Councilwoman Naeem.
Present.
Councilman Jefferson. And we also have Madam Chair Comer. Director
Morning.
Clay. Thank you. Director Clay.
Morning.
Councilman Abercrombie, I believe, is here. Attorney Matravy. And who have I
Councilman
missed?
Jefferson just joined as well.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Councilman Jefferson. We're just taking attendance at the current time.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I know I've omitted, I see initials here. Whom have I omitted?
I just think you're looking at Attorney Matravy, you're looking at Crystal Morrison from SEC staff. Christina Diamond is also on from the SEC staff. We have one guest, and Councilman Jefferson and Councilwoman Gordon.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a moment to review the minutes of the November meeting. And I will ask for a motion to approve and accept them.
So move.
Can I get a second?
Well, I wasn't there, so I can't second it. Sorry.
Okay.
And I'm not on the policy committee, so it'd have to be Councilwoman Gordon.
Sorry, I was switching to my headphones. What was the question?
To second the acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So the purpose of the meeting is to review the list of recommendations that Cone Resnick has made to the documentation list for income and for residency. And with that, shall we, Attorney Matravy, would you like to give us the screen for the recommendations?
Yes, Chairman Chauvin.
Oops.
Can you see my screen, Chairman?
Not now. It was there for a moment, and then
I can
I
see
can
it.
see it.
can everyone see it? Okay. All right. All right. Director Clay, would you like to make comments on what we are looking at and what we are streamlining out of the process and what we are accepting? Excuse me.
It is actually Attorney Matravy who can comment on this. This is a document that he's been working on.
Thank you. Okay, there it is.
Through you,
Can I
Chairman.
ask a quick question? Sorry, go
Yes.
ahead.
No, go ahead, Councilmember Gordon.
So I think the outreach committee had created this the last time. I'm not sure why the income and verification thing had gone through the outreach committee, but I just wanted to flag that that's how this was done the last time, and I had worked on this and I didn't have any input on this new document, so I just want to flag that. I think I created this document in the first place.
Thank you,
I-
Councilmember Gordon.
I think what
Chairman Shelly.
happened, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go
Um,
ahead, Director Clay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say from my memory, I believe when we first got started, there was so many things that had to be done that this was assigned, it should have been to the policy committee, but it was assigned to the outreach committee because we just sort of spread out the work of criteria and many other assignments. But probably should have been assigned to the policy committee, but I think the policy committee was working on a bunch of other things. And so these assignments were kind of just given to the group, a group, and didn't necessarily mean that they would stay with the group. And so this came back as this is a policy, a policy function. It went back to the policy committee.
That's fine. I was just saying, since I had created it, it would have been really helpful to be a part of the conversation.
Noted.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. And Attorney Matravy, if you will go through this and see and tell us why we are looking at it, what the problem was with the original documentation. I know there was, but what the problems were, so that we can have a basis for doing the streamlining.
Thank you so much, Chairman Shari, and through you, Chairman. So this document was actually prepared by Kuhn Resnick based on their review after looking at applications that were submitted and reviewing to make sure income criteria and residency criteria are met. We asked them to put together this document to tell us which documentation was useful in their review and to help the council basically amend the required document to make it more effective. So Conresnick designed this list and put their comments on the side for the council to use it as guidance. Also, this is very important because recently there was a decision regarding a case where there was a social security issue. So we've received several guidance on that, that perhaps we need to amend our required document to exclude the social security card, the actual card, because the card itself is not very helpful to the review. The number will be sufficient. So all of that was taken into consideration preparing this list for the committee to review and amend as it is fit, and then you can recommend to the council if you think that's appropriate. So the first document here, notarized income verification from all employer for the past 3 years. So that one is fine according to Kuhn Resnick. But for the pay stub, they're saying that it's really not helpful to them to get one pay stub. As you can see, the comments say pay stub are often issued weekly or bi-weekly and will consist of a high volume of documents to cover a 3-year period. And they have seen applicant provide only one pay stub, which does not suffice. So if applicant would provide pay stub, they'll have to provide the entire pay stub for the entire period of residency or income that's being requested. So they cross that out on the list. The document that seems to be very helpful to them for the review is the tax return, the 1040 easy or 1040, including off schedule for the last 3 years. So that's been very helpful to Congress to determine the incomes. It's also being used, based on my understanding of their review process, it's also being used to verify residency. So the tax return are very useful for that. W-2 and tax statement, it confirms the income, so that's good, but it cannot verify if total income is included. So it's good, but it's kind of a limited evidence. I think the committee can keep that on the list, but applicants should know that they're gonna need, just sending one W-2 form may not be enough. They will probably need to send more, but it's best to send the entire tax return itself. Now, Social Security card, we've already talked about it. I think at this point, we don't need the actual card for the review. So the committee should struck that out. That would be the recommendation.
Okay.
Now, there's a record of account transcript, combine the tax return, all that is fine. And we also ask for Form 45060, which is the form agencies will use, the form by which applicants authorize the agency to be able to request their tax form on their behalf. It's good. I don't know of any instance where Congressing actually requested the tax return directly, but it's good to have it just in case. Now, there were documents that were previously required as annuity statement, pension retirement distribution statement, or court order agreement. Congressnik doesn't believe those documents have been very useful because in most cases, all those information will also be included in tax returns. So at this point, it looks like the tax returns are really the most useful document, but you can see their comments on the side of that. So if they have those documents, it's good to include them in the tax return, which is more helpful to Congressnik for the review.
Can I ask a quick question here? Because if I remembered correctly, isn't these just like options that people could provide in addition to, it wasn't that we were requiring all of these things? And I remember specifically why we did court ordered agreements. That was like for if someone was receiving alimony or child support. So that's what the court ordered agreement. So I get why the tax returns are super important, but taking off other options, I'm not sure why we want to limit the amount of documents that people are able to use to prove income. I totally get the Social Security card, but just because no one used this in the first place, I'm not sure why we want to take it off as an option moving forward. I'm not sure I understand the rationale there.
Thank you for that question, Councilmember Gordon. I think you're making a very good point. What Congressnik is mainly saying is that they just pointed that it was not very helpful to them. In most cases, it was not submitted. The committee could keep it on the list just in case someone is in the situation where they have received alimony and it's not mentioned on their tax returns, then it will be submitted again. I think Congressnik on this form is just making observation on what was useful and what was not useful, what was provided by applicants and what was not provided by applicants. At the end of the day, the committee can decide for the good reason that you just explained to keep it on the list.
And following up on that question, are we saying that these are documents that are no longer required, but they can be submitted in support of the income and residency? So we're not saying that they cannot be submitted, are we? We're saying that they are no longer required. Am I correct there?
Chairman, I think I understand what you mean. For some people, these are income documents mostly. So income document varies from one individual to another. Those who are retired will now have a W-2. They will have pension statement. So I think it's good to have a list of required documents, and individual applicants will submit the document that apply to their situation. The important thing is to provide income, a proof of income from the list of documents that's here. So correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Director Clay or any member.
Well, I see, for example, they've crossed out pension retirement, distribution statements. And I took that to mean that it's no longer required, but if that's all someone has, will we
No,
accept it?
Chairman Shirley, it does not mean it's no longer required. They're basically saying the item that they cross on this list, they're basically saying they have not seen it in the reviews. In situations where they have seen it, it was included in the tax returns. So it was part of the whole tax returns package. So
Okay.
yeah, they crossed it out just to say, okay, this one we didn't see it, or it wasn't quite relevant for us this time. That doesn't mean it should no longer be necessarily on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I also just want to say that these documents are they're not necessarily required. They are documents that were acceptable for if folks had them to submit that we originally thought would be helpful to a
Mhm.
review. And as Attorney Matrevi has said, that the CONRESNIC is just basically saying that we didn't use these to verify social equity applicants. And in some cases, no one submitted these documents. It doesn't mean, you're right, that people don't have them. They're just saying that they're not helpful to us to review, to use to verify.
Got it, okay.
Chairman Shirley, through you, my
Yes.
hand is raised, but I'm not, recognized.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no problem. Attorney Matrevi, thank you for your comments regarding this document. Can you scroll to the top of the list, please?
Yes, sir.
You're right there. Okay, so go back down to paste, beyond paste. So right now, the tax returns are included in documents that should be presented by the applicant.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what exactly is CONRESNIC asking us to do? What are they asking us to vote on here or to consider?
CONRESNIC is simply advising that and making observation. They're not necessarily making a recommendation to remove items from this list or to add different items. They're making observations to the policy committee to guide the policy committee in a decision as to whether the policy committee wants to keep certain items or not. They're telling the committee through this document what was relevant to them for the review.
No,
And what was not.
No, Attorney
And what was,
Matrevi,
yes.
in the interest of time, I get that. So
Yes.
if it and Madam Executive Director has already spelled out exactly, what we mean by required and what's being submitted and so on and so forth. I just want to get an idea of what our decision today or recommendation to the full council look like. If I say I want to adopt what CONRESNIC, their observations, what does that look like? What are we telling the full council? We're saying obviously that the tax returns, the 1040EZ or 1040, including all schedules for the last 3 years, is the best piece of support to provide, to verify income, right? So
yes.
How do we put that in words for an applicant moving forward? How do we change the language?
First, the main recommendation this committee may made to the full council is that The social security card is no longer a required item. The card itself is no longer a required item. So that's one. Now, as for the other document, before, and I can show you what our required document list look like now. Give me a second.
Attorney, I'm sorry, I lost you guys for a quick second there.
I see it. Okay. I see
Councilman,
it raised
do you mind
hand.
restating what you said? I was asking Councilman Jefferson to repeat what he said. I lost connection there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Gordon. I'm simply trying to get a sense of what our communication to applicants would look like if we adopt the observation, not even that recommendation, these observations made by Cone Resident, because after all, Cone Resident is doing our vetting. And if they're telling us that the tax returns are the best item used to verify income, I want to support that. I just don't know moving forward, how do we communicate that to applicants moving forward? I mean,
Councilman Jefferson, if I may, I think you're asking, what is Cone Resident suggesting to us or recommending to us is the revised required documents, and in addition, documents that might also be used to supplement the required documents.
Right. Yeah, and basically, if our attorney, if Attorney Matrevi could basically write that out and spell that out, and that'll be fine, and we can move forward. I'm not, they're doing our vetting, so I mean, we have to trust what their observations are and what they're recommending.
Director Clay, do you have your hand up?
So, yeah, I was just gonna say that this is the document, and I'll let Attorney Matrevi continue, but we educated potential applicants using this particular document. We had required documents or criteria in the 3 areas, and we posted that on our website. We used it in our webinar. So what we would do is to update this document and do it. Some documents are going to not be required. Some documents will not, we just won't use them. So we update this, we post this to our website, and we use this doing all of our outreach and education to applicants.
Right. And Madam Executive Director, I just think you have to index the documents and so that people understand, what's most relevant and most helpful for them, and for our team to consider their income, and somewhere in there it should be indexed and made very clear that the 3 years of tax returns, yada yada yada, is what's most helpful for us as the council. And however you do that, it should be done. It shouldn't be listed where it's presently listed. Could you go back up, who's ever controlling the screen?
Yes. On this document or the previous one?
No, this one. Go down. I'm sorry. I just want to see the list that we have it presently laid out here. Okay.
Right. So is this is the old list, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So somehow it has to, on this list, it has to reflect what Cone Resident sees as the priority documents.
Yes.
That's all I'm suggesting.
Yes. So to answer your question, like I've said, first amendment to this list.
Go ahead.
Yes, first amendment to this list will include removing the Social Security card as a required document. And then the second amendment to this list will be to basically amend the document to reflect that tax returns are primary income, proof of income document.
Could you go all the way back up to income, because you're on residency?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so here, it would if I'm an applicant, this is misleading somehow, because you got pay stubs 3 years is the number one item. You got to change
Yes.
it.
Yes, and
You
like I
understand?
just said,
Yeah. So
definitely.
and somewhere, just to Councilwoman Gordon's point, why don't we just spell out optional and just write it optional and underneath list optional documents? But for the applicant, let them know, him or her or them, let them know that this is what we're really looking at right here. So I don't know what was the
Can I add
basis.
to-
Let me just finish my thought. I'm getting old here, and I just need to older.
You're not old.
So I think we need to just we just need to spell that out, because here it doesn't do that. It makes it seem to me like a notarized income verification from all employers, pay stubs and tax return, wages, tax statement. Those are, the best documents based on the order. And I don't understand what was the baseline for putting it in this order.
And Attorney Matravy, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to ask-
This is
Go ahead.
this is
So I've had my hand raised for a while. That's why I was just trying to point.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see. All right, I see you now. Go
So
ahead.
I just wanted to add to Councilman Jefferson's point. I think we need to be very clear that like these other documents are supporting documents, not required documents. And I think that's where the confusion is. Everything that they've crossed out or that was on the other list that we can't see right now are supporting documents, but these, like the tax return is the required document. And then the other stuff is supporting documents. I don't know how and I totally understand the point on the pay stubs, that's hard if someone's worked. Some people may have them because they've worked for the same place for the last 30 years. But if they don't, but I think we should be very clear about like what is required and then what's supporting documents moving forward, and not making it seem like, so to Councilman Jefferson's point, like order of importance is really like what's most important is clear here, and what's supporting versus required is also, I think we need to be clear about those two different things as well.
Okay, Councilman, I'm sorry, Attorney Matravy, is this is the old document to be revised? Is that what?
This is the document we're trying to revise.
Got
So,
it.
and to Council Member Gordon's point, that's what the problem is. So our the recommendation that we're asking this committee to make to the council is to change that order to make sure tax returns appear clearly as a required document, and everything else is optional as applicable to support as a proof of income. So that's what the council will be, the committee will be recommending to the council.
Okay,
In addition to removing the Social Security card.
so is there so this is the old document that
Yes.
we are to revise. Is there a recommended new document that shows the revisions? I thought there was.
No, there's no, we haven't drafted a recommended new document. If the committee accept that, we will provide that recommended document to the council
Okay.
for review and to vote on it.
Okay, understood. I wasn't clear. I thought there was a recommended document, but so this is the old one that we have to revise.
Yes.
And I think what Cone Resnick is saying, pay stubs are not useful. So we will remove pay stubs. Tax returns are. And let's see what else. Social Security, what are we saying about that?
The Social Security, we're just saying that the card itself should not be a requirement for people to submit the actual copy of the Social Security card.
Okay, so but we need the number, not the card.
Yes, we need the number, not the card.
W-2 forms are useful.
They are in some cases, so W-2 form all the other document will be in a second category as applicable to people. That way, those who are not employed, they're not gonna be able to find W-2. Those who retire not gonna have W-2, so they'll be able to submit their pension statement and any other supportive document that they have.
Okay, Councilwoman Gordon, your hand is up.
I think it would be much easier if we could just, Attorney Matrevi, just create the new, I feel like I'm super confused about what we're being asked to do here. Is there any way to just put together like a document that is actually what you want us to vote on? Because instead of us going through each one and saying, I feel like, so to Councilman Jefferson's point, like these are the ones that are priority. And then these are the supporting documents, and show us that list so we know what we're making a decision on. I feel like I'm a little confused about what it is that we're talking about. I don't want to slow down the process, and if this is necessary for January meeting, then I guess we can do it this way, but it would be good, I think, easier for me to just review something that shows what we're talking about, because I think I get it, but I'm also kind of confused.
Councilman Jefferson?
Yeah, I would recommend this. Notwithstanding what Councilwoman Gordon has said, I would support the recommendation by CohnReznick and just create the list for us policy to review in the interim. I think we can support the observation, support the recommendation. All the other documents are optional. We know what is the most and just prioritize and put optional for all the other documents so we don't slow the process. Send us the list before the January meeting. If anyone has any problems with it or questions about it, we can contact Attorney Matrevi or Madam Executive Director. Because all CohnReznick is telling us basically is that the 3-year tax returns are the most important in terms of vetting, and anything else is basically going beneath that, as optional items, or as you see to display Attorney Matrevi, so, and I'm willing to support that.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Jefferson.
So I think it would be helpful to have a comparison document, and I think that's what we're all saying, a document that would show the ideal list of documents required and optional compared to the list that we currently have. Director Clay, can we get that from CohnReznick? And is there a time problem? Or?
There is not a time problem. It's actually, we don't even need to get it from CohnReznick. We can take this document, we can update it and submit it back to the committee for review.
Okay.
And this is also, stuff that when we first did this, we were trying to be as conscientious as possible. We didn't, we wanted to include everything. And so I think after we've done this, we've done it around, CohnReznick says to us, hey, look, we don't need all that. We need this, we need that. And it's going to streamline the process. So I think going through this process, through one round of the lottery, it definitely helps us to understand how to better communicate the required, the necessary, and the optional documents to the applicants. And I think it definitely will streamline the application process for them.
Okay, thank you. And so at this point, do we need to take a look at what the residency required documents? We looked at income. Is it useful at this point to take a look at the residency requirements, what they're recommending there?
Chairman Shirley, we'll go ahead and create the list of documents for both residency and income, and then we'll send that to the members of the committee in preparation for the January meeting.
And if you'd like, we can actually, prior to the January meeting, if you want us to hold office hours, we can do that. If someone wants to go over the document itself. or any of the documents, we'll hold office hours for the committee to answer any questions.
Okay, that'd be good.
Through
Go
you,
ahead.
Chairman Shirley, I think we should move forward accordingly. Ask bring it to the full council. The policy, members of the policy committee should review and do a comparative analysis if we so choose of the two documents. If we have any questions, bring it to the attention of Madam Executive Director and give it to the full council to vote on. My only concern is I don't want to invite unnecessary litigation from folks who say, oh, this wasn't what we had before, so on and so forth. Not that they can, based on my own analysis of the process, but it's just something that, you're putting something else out there for folks to hang their hat on.
Right, and so what is I guess this is a question for Madam Chair. What's the sense of how this will, once we make this recommendation to the full council, what's the implication for people who have been turned down as a result of not having some items that we are going forward are not going to require?
So, Madam Chair, I believe switched off. She may be
Okay.
joining us again, but I think I can answer that question to say that when we start a new lottery, that is a totally new game. You don't get to say, hey, you changed it, we changed the map, and no one in the lottery part or the application part of this, all of the requirements that happened in the first round or that were required in that whole process, it was a process. This next round of a lottery, it will be a new application process in which the council can change the required documents, can change the process, but no one is grandfathered in to the new process or the new map.
Thank you, Madam Executive Director.
Thank you for that. All right, so we're going to get a revised document to make comparisons and then to vote on and to move to recommend to the full council.
Sorry, I'm a little confused. I thought we were voting on the recommendation today, Chairman, and then giving feedback on the documents that are being sent. I'm only asking because I have to hop off right now. So if we need to vote, I need to vote before we go. If we're not voting, that's fine. I can hop off.
Shall we vote then on the recommendations? I'm just hesitant to vote on something that we basically haven't seen. We've talked about what will be on the list, but we haven't actually seen it. I don't know. How do council members feel?
I don't have a problem with it. I think we're voting on the spirit of what we intend to do. I don't think that's an issue. If we can just ask to change the order around just after we do the comparative analysis. It's clear what CohnReznick is attempting to do. It's on them. They're going to receive the documents. If it's optional, they're going to consider it as optional. If it's required, the tax returns are the priority, and that's just the bottom line. So if we got any questions about the revised document, that's a private that's a conversation between us and our staff. But the spirit of it is what we're discussing now. So I don't have a problem with it.
I think maybe the motion is that the committee recommend to the full council the revisions of required acceptable documents for the verification of social equity applicants, and that the Social Equity Council staff revises all documents based on CohnReznick's recommended revisions.
Okay, I'll adopt that. I'll adopt that motion as my own moving forward, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And so I'll ask for a second.
I'll second that one.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Fine. All right. So then we've we will accept the revisions that are made by Cone Resnick and present them to the full council. And are there any other issues for the good of the order? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
And to everyone on the call, please have a good holiday and a blessed and happy new year.
Same to
You as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you, Chairman Sterling.